Say that again?
It's fantastic.
Thanks Ipsos Ice for sponsoring this video. Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy, and finally, the Fantastic Four are coming to the MCU. But what if they've already been in the MCU the whole time?
The whole time? The whole time?
So we went through and combed through the official Marvel timeline and actually worked out where and when the Fantastic Four actually first appeared in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we figured out how they could connect to several of Marvel's key moments in phases 1 and 2, and also how they can further the Multiverse Saga into Avengers Secret Wars and Avengers 5, whatever it's called. So here is our version of how the Fantastic Four could be seamlessly sewn into the fabric of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And by the way, thanks everybody for watching this video and for supporting us by shopping our merch store, ScreenCrushMerch.com, where we design the shirts ourselves. Right now we have these awesome Nelson and Murdoch and Return of the King tees, as well as lots of your favorites like Original Trilogy, Not the Bees, and the variant hoodie. Shopping our merch store is the best way for you to directly support our channel. Thank you guys for watching, and please check us out at our live show in Brooklyn, New York on February 22nd. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so we made a video in 2020 where I first dropped some of the theories that I'm going to talk about here, but a lot has happened in the MCU since then, so we're going to adapt that video and add in key events from Phase 4 and talk about how Reed will be the key figure in setting up Avengers Secret Wars. So guys, to start off, I think that in the MCU for the past 12 years or so, Reed Richards has actually been missing, and he has actually not been around for the majority of the events in phases 1, 2, and 3.
Wait, what? Why?
Well, look, so my reasoning here is that Reed Richards is the smartest person on Earth, so it would not make sense for him to have been around for all of these years, but we never heard of him. Reed would have been a key fixture at S.H.I.E.L.D. or S.W.O.R.D. He would have adapted Chitauri technology. Heck, I mean, we have seen Reed's influence before. Just look at Universe 838 and the Multiverse of Madness. Reed's technology turned New York City into a green paradise. Ultron bots are still good instead of turning evil. Basically, it means that if Reed Richards had been in the MCU this entire time, then we would have seen at least some of these changes implemented in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm going to talk about why Reed's been missing and why it's key to setting up the Multiverse Saga. Now look, I realize that not all of you are comic book fans, and maybe you barely remember the Fantastic Four movies. So I want to give you a very brief rundown of who the Fantastic Four are in the comics, and so that way we can understand how they will fit into the MCU. So in their original origin, Reed Richards was a scientist building a rocket ship that would take humanity to the stars. Now this was in the early 1960s, by the way, and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby thought about saying the ship was going to go to Mars, but then Stan Lee was worried that America might land on Mars before the comic book saw print.
Wow, is that true?
According to Stan Lee, yeah.
Oh, okay, so we don't really know if it's true or not.
No, we don't really know if it's true or not.
Excuse me, what is this monstrosity?
Oh, geez, what is it now?
I come here to find a high-quality Blu-ray of the classic film Superman the movie, and instead I find this crappy VHS of Superman 4. I have never in all my time as a cinephile been so insulted.
Doug, we are in big trouble. That movie's like $29 on Amazon.
Well then, we're ruined.
I know, I don't have that kind of money.
Whatever can we do?
Oh, actually, you know what? There, I got us covered. I just got a $25 Amazon certificate from Ipsos Ice, the sponsor of this video.
Say, what's Ipsos Ice?
Dude, Ipsos Ice is great. You take part in research and answer some simple questions to earn some extra cash through gift cards and rewards. That's how I got the money to pay for a Superman Blu-ray. The surveys are fast and easy to complete, and they're tailored to my interests so they don't get boring. Like, you know, sometimes you're just watching TV and you're just on your phone, you can fill out these surveys and make actual money. So, click our link below and start earning your rewards today from Ipsos Ice. So in the comics, the government's gonna scrap the ship, so Reed decides to hijack it with his pilot best friend, Ben Grimm, his girlfriend, Susan Storm,
Weird, but okay.
and Sue's 16-year-old brother, Johnny.
A 16-year-old kid? But why are they taking him on a stolen spaceflight mission?
Well, it never really does make sense in the comics, but it will make sense in our video. The spaceflight gets bombarded with cosmic rays, the four of them get powers and vow to help humanity. Reed is the leader, genius, inventor, and explorer. Sue is the most powerful member of the team. Ben is all depressed because he's a monster. And Johnny is more like a fun-loving playboy who teases Ben all the time. They argue, they bicker, they love each other. This is a family. They are also huge celebrities and the pioneers of human exploration into space and other dimensions. So now, let's tell that story in the MCU. First of all, I don't think the Fantastic Four should have a brand new origin set in the modern day Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we're going to rewind and show how they actually had their origins in S.H.I.E.L.D., which makes sense because for decades, S.H.I.E.L.D. gathered up every super scientist to study paranormal and extraterrestrial objects. So of course, they would have recruited Reed Richards. So let's start the movie with a chase scene in a small desert town. A reckless teenage youth has stolen a car and the cops are chasing him. This is Johnny Storm, the future Human Torch. Eventually, the cops catch up to him and take him into custody. His sister Susan shows up at the station and then uses her military credentials to get him released. We find out that both their parents have died and she is actually raising Johnny by herself while she's also working at this secret military base. And that base turns out to be Project Pegasus circa 2011 or 2012, where Sue is stationed as a SHIELD agent. We saw Project Pegasus in Captain Marvel and in the Avengers, where SHIELD was studying the Tesseract. Now, in the 1990s, SHIELD was trying to develop faster-than-light space travel by harnessing the cube's power. Remember, Mar-Vell was secretly going to use this ship to help Skrull refugees. Following Mar-Vell's death, SHIELD recruited a pair of brilliant scientists, Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom, to study the Tesseract. Recently, we did post a video about how Dr. Doom could have been in the MCU all along, where we said that SHIELD was where he had his fateful accident that scarred his face. That video is great, and it's actually a companion piece to this video. You should check it out. But then, after the events of Thor, SHIELD altered the path of their research. They studied how to use the cube to make weapons.
Like Hydra in First Avenger.
Exactly, you remember, Phase 2.
Phase 2 is S.H.I.E.L.D. uses the cube to make weapons.
Now, Reed is already wealthy from his many inventions, and he is thrilled to have a chance to study the cube for science, and he wants to use it to explore the universe. Now, Reed's a genius, but he gets tunnel vision in his work and sometimes doesn't see the bigger picture. So, while Reed is at the base, he meets a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent named Sue Storm.
Oh, Sue's gonna be a SHIELD agent?
Yes, it was always weird to me that Sue goes on a space flight with her husband, so now she has a reason to go. But also, this makes her a grounded counterpoint to Reed. He always has his head in the clouds, but she is very pragmatic, down to earth, and militaristic. So, Reed and Sue meet at this base, and they have fallen for each other. She is attracted to his intelligence and kindness, and he falls for her because of her humor and compassion. Coincidentally, Reed's college roommate, a fighter pilot named Ben Grimm, is also stationed at Project Pegasus. Now, Grimm is kind of a local legend because he actually met Iron Man. A few years before, Iron Man saved his jet from crashing. You know, this scene in Iron Man 1. So, we want to see these characters and how they operate together. Since they're going to become a family, I think it would be really fun if early in the movie we give them a family activity, like game night. And you know, the game could also foreshadow some plot point later in the movie, like they're playing the Cones of Dunshire and Reed needs to remind the others later on about the #1 rule.
It's about the cones.
The point is, they get together and play like Pictionary or something, and then we get to see them bicker and pout and laugh and get a feel for how they interact together before they get superpowers. Then the whole thing ends with a fight because Ben and Johnny just don't get along. And we also need some sweet romance to show why an egghead like Reed and a heartbreaker like Sue would be together. So maybe after game night they go outside to look at the stars and she marvels at how beautiful the universe is. And he's very analytical, talking about how, oh, actually that's not a star, that's a J19 supernova. And she's like, well, that's not very romantic. But then Reed starts talking about the beauty of everything and how that light will spread across the universe for billions of years and how special it is that they can see it and how countless life forms in other worlds will see that too. Reed talks about the beauty of science and their mission to use the Tesseract to explore new worlds. He talks about the ship he's building called the Kirby.
You see what I did there?
And how it will move mankind into the future. So a conversation like this would establish Reed and Sue's relationship. It would show their differences and what actually draws them together. But most importantly, it is a mission statement for the Fantastic Four. They are explorers first and heroes second. The next day, Sue is all happy, but she makes a shocking discovery. Project Pegasus is secretly using Reed's research to make weapons.
Oh no!
Yes, and they're letting him think that his little Kirby ship is the project's focus. And maybe she can learn this news from like Jasper Sitwell or Victoria Hand, just to keep it all connected. Now this horrifies her because she doesn't think a human being should have that kind of unchecked weaponry and that we would end up wrecking the planet.
Yeah, because she's right.
Yes, she is. So then Sue has a crisis of conscience. Does she keep quiet and do her job, or does she tell Reed the truth? She decides to tell Reed because Reed may be the brains of the team, but Sue is the heart. Reed decides to quit the project, but Sue tells him that S.H.I.E.L.D. owns the ship, and the ship can harness the Tesseract's energy. So as long as S.H.I.E.L.D. has the ship, they have that technology and they can use it to make weapons. So Reed decides to steal the ship, and his old buddy Ben Grimm agrees to fly it. Now Sue knows that she'll be thrown in jail for telling Reed the truth, and she's worried what will happen to Johnny if she's gone. So she agrees to go along if Johnny can stay with her. The plan is to leave the base, destroy the ship, and then use her S.H.I.E.L.D. skills to hide out somewhere under new identities. So they steal the ship, but the escape goes wrong and they are chased by S.H.I.E.L.D. Quinjets. Reed realizes the only way they can escape is to leave the atmosphere. Johnny is like thrilled to go into space. He's filming the whole thing on his phone.
Ha! There's kids with their phones and their Joe Walsh music.
Who?
So Ben warns Reed about the cosmic rays in the atmosphere, but the Kirby is about to be shot down. So Reed makes the call. Go into space. Cosmic rays be damned. The cosmic rays interact with the Tesseract energy in the drive and open up a portal in space. And then the ship disappears. So they emergency land on a strange planet, and maybe it's in the negative zone.
Like cable news?
No, the negative zone is an alternate dimension that Reed discovers in the comics. So the team discovers they have powers, put their hands in the circle, and they vow to use these abilities to help mankind. So this origin story solves a few problems that have always bothered me. In the FF's original origin, Reed built the rocket, Ben flew it, but there was really no reason for Sue and Johnny to be there. Newer versions of the characters have made Sue a scientist like Reed, but that misses the point of her character. Sue is not as scientifically intelligent as Reed, because no one is.
The smartest man alive, Reed Richards.
She related to him on an emotional level, not an intellectual one. She is the compassionate center of the family. Now, I made her a SHIELD agent because I also think that she should be the tactical commander of the team in fights. Reed is the strategist. He comes up with the overall plans, but Sue has actual fighting experience. And since her powers to create invisible force fields make her the most powerful member of the team, it would make sense that she would be commanding the team in battle. The other problem with the FF's origin is why they steal the rocket, which I believe was so they could beat the communists into space. This change gives them a moral reason to act and to preserve scientific discovery from the military. The question is, where do we go from here, and now how do we make this movie key in the Multiverse Saga? So in that original outline I wrote 3 years ago, I said that they should land in the negative zone and fight a nihilist at Avengers Tower in the climax to show that they're like the new Avengers. But this is the Multiverse Saga, so we need the multiverse in there somewhere. So I'm going to tell you a couple possibilities before we get to the one that I think is the best and that leads into Avengers 5 and 6. One, we could do a Terminator.
What do you mean by that?
Well, in the comics, Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards, so a rival Kang could show up and try to kill Reed and Sue before they can have any kids, thus ending the timeline of some variant Kang. This would also pit the Fantastic Four against like a variant of Kang the Conqueror.
Next.
Okay, so here's the one that I really like. So because it's the Multiverse Saga, they land in another universe. But instead of making this a universe where there are like other heroes filled with pointless cameos like in Multiverse of Madness, let's just set it in the 1960s. Get some groovy Mad Men fashion. Maybe there can still be some villain here. Maybe the Mole Man is the villain. The Mole Man was the villain in Fantastic Four #1. So we can have like some weird science fiction-y 1950s, 60s villains, but there are no superheroes. So now we get to show Marvel's first family as fish out of water in their original context, the 1960s. And most importantly, guys, they stay in this universe, and we really get to know the people who live in this universe. This is where Ben Grimm should meet the love of his life, Alicia Masters. Now, Alicia does not care that Ben is covered in rocks. She loves him for who he is on the inside. And the FF would like defeat the Mole Man and become celebrities. Like, we should really, really care about this alternate world. And I think that's what's been missing in the Multiverse Saga. We'll get like glimpses of other dimensions or flashes of Kang's obliterating timelines, but they're just kind of names on paper. We don't really care that trillions and trillions of people have just been wiped from existence.
Those are lives.
So then, just when they're all like cozy and they're enjoying this universe, the Silver Surfer shows up. Now, the Silver Surfer is the Herald of Galactus, a being that in the comics eats planets. But in a video we posted last week, we theorized that Galactus should eat universes.
Oh, that's cool, but how's that gonna work?
Well, remember in Multiverse of Madness when a version of Reed said,
"An incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes and they collide, destroying one or both entirely."
So what if the thing that destroys those colliding universes is actually Galactus? So Reed and the team just punched a hole into another universe, causing this 60s universe to start to collide with the normal 616. And now Galactus has come to feed to prevent these universes from destroying one another. And then we could do the normal Silver Surfer story that we've already seen in the movies. They convince him or her to become good, etc. But the point is, the Fantastic Four should lose. Galactus eats this universe. All the people that we just grew to care about are dead. It's like the ending of Infinity War.
Oh, God.
But then the Fantastic Four escape with the Silver Surfer providing the cosmic energy to their engine so they can open up another wormhole. They end up back in the 616 and they arrive in New York at the base of Avengers Tower. Now, Fantastic Four fans are going to be pumped because for years we have speculated that Avengers Tower was going to become the Fantastic Four's new headquarters. But the camera then pans up and we see the word Fisk written across the tower instead. Wilson Fisk has become mayor of New York in Daredevil Born Again, and now he's cracking down on vigilantes. This is becoming the darkest timeline. Reed says, "We're going to need some help," and then we cut to black. And here's where we do something a little different with the post-credit scene. Marvel actually should release 2 different post-credit scenes that are randomly placed in different movie theaters. In one of them, Reed Richards is in a shady room addressing people in the shadows. He says, "I have seen incursions. Thanos destroyed half the universe, but now all of existence is at risk. Our universe has collided with another, and now we have to decide if we destroy their universe or ours." And as he talks, the camera pans across the people in attendance. Shuri, Namor, Wong, Bruce Banner, the leader, Doctor Doom. And the other post-credit post-credit scene will be the exact same scene, except it's Charles Xavier talking to an assemblage of mutants. Beast, Magneto, Emma Frost, and both post-credit scenes are shot in the same way, and we end with the same line. We have to destroy the other universe.
So wait, did they collide with the X-Men universe?
No, but Monica Rambeau collided with that universe at the end of the Marvels. Remember, she went through a portal in space and then woke up in a different X-Men universe. So this would set up Avengers vs. X-Men, which is probably going to be the movie that's going to replace Avengers: The Kang Dynasty.
What do you mean?
Well, the last episode of Loki made it seem like they were pivoting pretty hard away from Kang and making it seem like the TVA had all of his variants under control.
Do any of them know that we exist yet?
Oh, I guess one of them caused a little bit of a ruckus on 616 adjacent realm, but they handled it, so we're all good for now.
And then, like I said, the Marvels ended with a post-credit scene in a universe where the X-Men exist. So we think that this is all leading into adapting the Avengers story Time Runs Out, where Reed and the rest of the Illuminati were forced to destroy other universes to save their own. Now, ultimately, this resulted in there only being 2 universes left and remnants from all the universes being merged together in the Secret Wars crossover. So, in the MCU, I think we'll see the Avengers go up against the X-Men from the Fox movies in the movie Avengers vs. X-Men. Then, all those universes will merge into Battle World with other variants like the Spider-Man from No Way Home, and then the whole thing is going to get relaunched into a merged universe. And in that merged universe, don't worry, Alicia Masters will be alive so she and Ben can date and fall in love. Now, you may have noticed that, unlike in our Doctor Doom video, the team was not actually present during a lot of the MCU story, and that's because there is no way Reed Richards or the Fantastic Four would have been unknown at this point. Like I said before, even without powers, Reed would have at least been invited to Stark Tower's R&D level to play with their gear. And this way, Doom's origin can be about the past of the MCU, but the Fantastic Four are setting up the future.
And another thing, Superman
Dude, stop. We used all the money that I made on Ipsos I Say to buy an actual Blu-ray of Superman the movie. And get this, it is so high res that when Krypton blows up, you can see that it's a flash pod in front of a curtain.
Wow, is that true?
Yeah, dude, we just showed it in B-roll.
Oh, then no, I'd just rather watch it on my phone. Bye!
Fine. Well, if any of you want to earn rewards on Ipsos I Say, click our link in the description. Well, guys, that's just our thoughts on where the Fantastic Four should enter the MCU. Do you have any thoughts or theories? What do you think of ours? Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.